Alaikum. We are here in Şanlıurfa, the city of prophets, eastern side of Turkey. We've just arrived at Ayub Peygamber's mosque. This is where the grave that Ayub alayhi salam stayed in when he was afflicted with illness. He said he spent 40 days in this cave before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him shifa through water. So we're just entering the masjid compound. As you can see, there's the masjid there. Just in front of you, you see the white dome building. That's got the actual cave, which will go down in a minute. And to the left here, where you can see the taps, and it says Sifali Su. That's the water with shifa in there, which you can purchase a bottle and take the water home with you. Now we will go into the cave, inshallah. Now, here's the actual story about Prophet Ayub alayhi salam. It says he was prophet in the 8th century BC. He was a descendant of Ibrahim alayhi salam. He was a nephew of Yaqub alayhi salam, and his mother was the daughter of Prophet Hud alayhi salam. He was born in what is Palestine or Mesopotamia, and although Allah gave him lots of wealth and children, he inflicted him with illness to test him. And when the illness began to hamper his prayers, he made dua to Allah to cure him of the disease. There's a verse in the Quran where Allah responds to him by saying, strike the ground with your foot, and there will be a small bath for you to drink, and from that water Allah cured his disease. Now we're going to go down into the cave. Stated that Prophet Ayub alayhi salam stayed in this cave for 7 years whilst he was patient with his illness before Allah gave him a cure. Now we'll go to the water and have a bit of the water, inshallah. So here's the shifa water. We're going to try and open the tap. People usually drink from here, put it on their body, even buy bottles and take it home with them. MashaAllah. They say this water still retains the healing powers that were given to Ayub alayhi salam. We use this on their body, on their faces, with the intention that Allah gives us cure, same that He provided for Ayub alayhi salam. The compound, we've got the Hazrat Ayub alayhi salam mosque. We're just going to make our way up these steps, and you'll see the sign. It shows you the direction towards the actual qabr. This is the place of the cave. We're going to go down these steep steps into the ground. As you can see, our group is already here. We're going to get through closer to the actual place of the cave. You'll see through the green glass. That's where the cave is. Take a close up. Assalamu alaikum. We've just arrived at the grave of Ayub alayhi salam and Ilyasa alayhi salam. This place is about 50 miles from Şanlıurfa, about 110 kilometers away from Mardin. Here's the compound, and inside the compound we're going to take you to see the two graves of the two prophets. There's also the sacred stone, which I'll explain to you once we get inside. But let's take a look inside the Qabristan, inshallah. This compound has the tomb of Ayub alayhi salam. We're just going to go inside and have a look now, inshallah. This is the tomb of Hazrat Ayub alayhi salam, visited by lots of locals, not many international tourists at the moment. Inshallah, we're sure that will change in due course. Just a short walk away from the tomb of Hazrat Ayub alayhi salam, there's also a compound here. As you can see, it says healing water. This is also another place where we're going to walk towards, and you'll see the tap. And they also say this is another area where the water that healed Ayub alayhi salam can be gotten from. So we're just going to have a quick look. You can see a family there. They're washing their face and their arms and drinking from that water. As you can see, it's the healing water of Ayub alayhi salam. My knowledge about this particular place is slightly limited. However, my understanding is that this is a rock in the compound, and it's called the ordeal stone in the Turkish translation. And basically what it's showing is that this stone inside this compound was actually asked to take on the level of afflictions that Ayub alayhi salam had, and when it did do, the stone actually cracked. That's what this stone supposedly signifies. Further into the compound, we've now come to the grave of Hazrat Ilyasa. Ilyasa is not to be confused with Ilyas or Yusha. It's Ilyasa in the Quran. Apologies, I'm not Hufaz, so I wouldn't know what particular surah this is in. But this Nabi was also alive during the time of Hazrat Ayub alayhi salam. It is my understanding from having to read that he came to look for Hazrat Ayub alayhi salam whilst he was afflicted with illness, but he never saw him. And he's buried in the same compound, in the same area as Hazrat Ayub alayhi salam. We're going to go inside the compound and have a quick look. We're just in the compound area of the grave of Hazrat Ilyasa alayhi salam. Ilyasa is just locked, so you can't actually get next to the grave, but you can see clearly through the windows the place, the tomb of Hazrat Ilyasa. So just 100 meters away from the tombs of Hazrat Ayub alayhi salam and Hazrat Ilyasa alayhi salam is the tomb of Hazrat Rahima alayhi salam, who is the wife of Hazrat Ayub alayhi salam. She is buried here. As you can see the tomb, we're just coming over to it now. The sign's in Turkish, but it basically tells you that this is the wife of Hazrat Ayub alayhi salam. The local person is just telling us to make dua in front of the cover, so we'll pray 3 calls. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim.
Bu kapıyı açtık. Size bu kapıyı açtık. İnşallah cennet kapısını bekliyorsun.
The local person has just said this is the tomb of Hazrat Rahime, who was the wife of Ayub alayhi salam, and he's asked us to make dua nearer to it. The locals believe that visiting the tombs of our predecessors is auspicious, and they usually make dua. So that's what we're doing. Hazrat Rahime, the wife of Ayub alayhi salam, was also the granddaughter of Yusuf alayhi salam. So Yusuf alayhi salam's son's daughter is the relation up to Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam. Assalamu alaikum. We're here today in Diyarbakır, again in the eastern side of Turkey, outside the old city walls. In this compound we have the graves of 27 Sahabas, the most famous of which is Khalid bin Walid's son. 27 Sahabas are buried in this compound. We're going to enter the compound and inshallah show you the masjid where they are. We've just walked down this path into the old city, as you can see on the camera now, and we turn the camera around. The walls of the old city of Diyarbakır. These have been around from, I believe, the Roman times, and then obviously the Christians held this city, and then now the Muslims hold the city since the conquest. And this is the area we're just looking at. Going to turn towards the masjid now. You can see the minaret. Within this masjid is the place where there are the tombs of 27 Sahabas, all of whom were buried here, possibly following an expedition. And as I said earlier, the most famous of which is the son of Khalid bin Walid, the sword of Allah. His son is buried here. We're going to take a look inside the masjid and have a quick video of the masjid as well. We're inside the masjid. The masjid is known as Hazrat Suleiman Chami, Hazrat Suleiman's mosque. As you can see, the wuzu area. This is the courtyard area, and behind those black fencing is the graves, and we're going to take a closer look now. So as you can see on the board here, inside the Hazrat Suleiman Mosque, the reason why it's called Hazrat Suleiman Mosque is the son of Khalid bin Walid was known as Hazrat Suleiman bin Khalid radiallahu anhu. And amongst them there are 26 other names, all of whom are buried behind this wall. We're going to take a quick walk around. As you can see, lots of local people are here. The locals come to all of the masjids where they have tombs of prophets, sahabas, awliyas, and they revere them, make dua in front of these covers for themselves, their families. As you can see now, behind the gates are the graves, and they are accessible. However, you can clearly see the various tombs. There's also a room inside. This is inside the room where the grave of Hazrat Sulaiman radiallahu anhu is. MashaAllah, such a blessed place that the Sahabas made conquest here. We're now going to go inside the masjid. We go. So now we're inside the masjid, and behind these black gates there are some additional tombs. Those tombs are not of Sahaba but actually of awliya, previous pious predecessors. The one in front of me is of Murtaza Bashanin. So obviously within the masjid they buried people later on close to the Sahaba's graves. And I'm just going to have a quick walk into. We're walking into the masjid now. As you can see, the masjid isn't very large, but it's made of the black stone, similar to the gates or the walls of the old city. MashaAllah, very beautiful, very historical. And again, these are the graves of the Sahabas from inside of the masjid. And you'll see the names. And the one in the center, which is the largest one, the one here, you'll see on the gold board, is the tomb of Hazrat Sulaiman radiallahu anhu, the son of Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anhu. Supposedly, I believe the date of death is 639 after Hijri, or 639 actually the English date, so not after Hijri. 639 is the English date. We're in Mardin today. Just come with me. You can see over the wall here. Over the wall here. These are the Mesopotamian plains. You can see into Syria, and then probably further to the left, which is out of view, is actually Iraq, and to the right will be Turkey. But these plains carry on for miles. We've come to a small masjid just at the top of the hill, and the masjid is is known as Sheikh Jabuk Shami. The masjid was built in the 15th century, and he was named after the messenger, the person who delivered the messages of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I believe there's also a tomb inside. We'll go inside and have a look now. We've got the tomb here of the messenger of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abdullah bin Anas al-Juhayni. Here's the tomb. Now we're in the middle of Mardin at the Grand Mosque, the Jami, one of the oldest mosques in Anatolia. It's said it dates back to the 11th century BC. This is a very famous mosque in Mardin. This is the courtyard of the masjid, and we'll now take you inside and show you quickly the inside of the masjid. There is also, in most of these masjids, you will find that they will have an artifact of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I believe in this masjid, within the wall, they've got a hair of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we'll just go inside the main entrance. Go. Assalamu alaikum. We are in the city of Eagle, which is how it's pronounced, how it's said transliterally, but it's actually Ale. This is how the Turkish pronounce it. Behind us is the hill of the Prophet, a mosque built with the tombs of a number of Paygambars. We're going to go inside and have a quick look, and I'll talk to you about the history of why and how they've become to be here. We're standing in the compound inside the hill of the masjid of the Hill of the Prophets. As you can see, the water behind me is the Diche Dam. A number of years ago, when they built the dam, the water pressure became so much that they had to re-intern the tombs of a number of prophets that were buried in that area. We're going to go inside the masjid, and the masjid will show you which prophets are buried here. It's the ex-graves of Hazrat Ilyasa alayhi salam and Nabi Harut. When the dam's waters pressures increased, somebody had a dream that these graves needed to be moved, and eventually the government and the Mufti of Turkey, they took upon the project of moving a number of prophets' graves. There remains within that area a number of other prophets that are still buried at the bottom near the dam, but in the masjid you will find the prophets' graves of Hazrat Ilyasa alayhi salam and Nabi Harut alayhi salam. Inshallah, we'll go inside and take a look at the tombs as well. Assalamu alaikum. You can take in the views. We are in a place called Il, not far from Diyarbakır. You are seeing, or we are currently in a place called the Hill of the Prophets. Behind me, you can see the water, which is part of the DJ Dam, actually connects to the River Tigris. The bottom over there, when the dam was built, the pressure from the dam created issues with some graves of the prophets. There was a number of prophets that were discovered there: Hazrat Zulkifl, Hazrat Ilyasa, Hazrat Harut. A number were left at the bottom. There are an actual 9 prophets' graves in this particular area, but 2 of which they moved up and re-interned in this masjid that we're going to go inside. There's a lot of history here, a lot of history about Nabi. There's also Assyrian history, other tombs that were buried in there, but we're going to focus in on the history of the prophets, inshallah. So we're going to go inside and take a look. So we're here in the compound of the masjid on the Prophet's Hill. You can see behind me is the first tomb of Nabi Harun as-Safi. If you look inside, and the other qabr is of Awliya, Umar ibn Piritan. But one of those is of Harun as-Safi. I believe it's the one in front here. So, just a further walk up from Hazrat Harun as-Safi alayhi salam, come to another room, and here in this particular area we've got 2 tombs. One is of Hazrat Zulkifl alayhi salam, one is of Hazrat Ilyasa alayhi salam. The story behind these is that when the dam pressure became so much, somebody had a dream that the water was getting into these particular graves. So the government and the local mufti took it upon themselves to dig out these graves and move the beloved bodies of these prophets into a safer ground. Some people claim that certain prophets have still remained there, those prophets, because there are a total of 9. However, when they took these bodies out and re-interned them in a higher ground, the article suggests that the bodies were as they were. And in the quote, and I quote, is that one person said that I saw that the hands were as though they were buried just yesterday, but I didn't have the courage to look at the face of any of the prophets. And as Allah says, that the prophets, when they're buried, they stay as they are. So these mashallah, we're now going to go in and have a look at the tombs of the qabrs, and we'll have a quick look inside. So the first tomb that you can see is of Hazrat Zulkifl alayhi salam, is mentioned in the Quran. And then the second tomb that you can see is of Hazrat Ilyasa alayhi salam. Both of these tombs aren't the original locations of the tombs themselves. They were found, as I said, at the bottom in the valley. However, when the waters risen and the pressure got too much, the authorities took it upon themselves to move the actual qabrs to a higher ground. And this is the masjid that's been built, mashallah. Assalamu alaikum. Hello. We're in the city of Haran, which is about 40 kilometers from şanlıurfa. This is a historical archaeological place. It is said that many prophets passed through this place. In the excavations at the back, it is said that Ibrahim alayhi salam stayed there. They found a tablet when the archaeologists were excavating, which says the names of Ibrahim and Sarah. So it says that Ibrahim alayhi salam came to take refuge here after fleeing the fire that was made for him by Namrud. Down at the bottom is what is called the oldest university. It used to be an old civilization dating back more than 3,000 years. Upon the conquest by the Muslims, that center point became where the minaret is, became a masjid. But prior to that, the university, they used to study astrology, using the moon, the sun, and this is an archaeological site. So we're here in the city of Haran. We're going to go and visit the beehive houses, which are also part of a UNESCO heritage, which are also a UNESCO heritage site. Assalamu alaikum. We are here in Gaziantep, which is a city in the eastern side of Turkey, very close to the border of Syria. It's actually a UNESCO gastronomical city. Lots of history here, but right in the city center in the old city, within the Copper Bazaar, is a small masjid, and within this masjid is the tomb of Hazrat Yusa alayhi salam. He is also mentioned in the Quran. There is also another tomb of a awliya. However, we have come to do the ziyarat of both of these, in particular to do the ziyarat of the Paigambar. So that's the potted history.